All right, Algebra 1. Welcome back, guys. Here we go. We are in Section 6 today. And if you remember what I said in yesterday's video from Section 5, Section 6 is very similar. All right, we are still using proportions, and we are cross-multiplying. So this video is going to be quick because you should already know how to do it. I'm just going to show you about 3 example problems, basic notes, and we're going to jump into it right here. Okay, so first things first, as always, have your textbooks open and have them open to page 161. All right, so that way we are all following along at the same time. Here we go. So proportions and cross multiplication. Now remember everything from yesterday because it hasn't changed. Good, because that's going to help us a lot. All right. Basically, imagine that you will be cross-multiplying and essentially using the distributive property at the same time, okay? So here's a little example of what I mean. When you have to cross-multiply, let's say you have a single term, and in this case, look at the 4. That's going to be our single term. But you are distributing now that single term to an expression, meaning like a little miniature equation there. And that expression has 2 terms. Well, that single term, the number 4, goes to both terms, x and minus 3, or x and the negative 3. Okay, so follow those arrows. We're still cross-multiplying, but if you have an expression, a single term will go to both parts of that expression. And you can see, as the 4 goes to the x, it creates 4x. As the 4 goes to the negative 3, it creates minus 12. The 2 is multiplied to the x, and it creates 2x. It's vital that you guys do not forget to separate those 2 halves with an equal sign. Sometimes students will forget and just put everything all together, but that's not the way it was given to you. It's given separated by an equal sign, and you have to do the same thing. We will then go through the steps that we've already taken in prior sections. We will get the variable on the same side, isolate that variable, probably going to divide, and then simplify, and we're going to have our solution. Okay, so let's jump into some example problems and see what this looks like. Now, starts out just like yesterday. Here's a baby step, walking right into this. Cross multiply. All right, 24 times x is 24x. Don't forget the equal sign, which is super important. And then 4 times 30, let's see, that's going to give us 120. Okay, now isolate x, eliminating the 24. There is gone, isolating x, and 120 divided by 24. Let's see, that's going to give us 5. So right there. Okay, remember, just cross multiply, isolate the variable. If you need to reduce or actually work the division out, do such, and then get your final answer. All right, now let's see one where we do have to use the distributive property. All right, so cross multiply here, giving us simply 7x. I'm going to immediately put that equal sign. Don't forget it. Now the 2 is going to go to the x, and it's going to go to the 5, giving us 2x plus 10. Now here comes a connection to prior sections in this chapter, where I'm going to take the 2x, I'm going to bring it over because we want to get all the variables on the same side. And don't forget what that does. That means we change the sign, and that 2x becomes a negative 2x equaling 10. 7x minus 2x, 5x equals 10. Isolate that variable, divide, cross out, x equals 2. All right, perfect. Simple steps, cross multiply, use that distributive property, variables on the same side, isolate that variable, there's your solution. All right, guys, this is our last example problem. Last one, video will be done. Here we go. So again, cross multiply. 4 times x gives you 4x. Now, the 5 goes to the x, and in this case, a negative 6. So 5x minus 30. Okay, 5 times x, 5 times negative 6. Now, we need to get all the variables on the same side. So I'm going to move that 5x over. So we're looking at 4x now minus 5x equals a negative 30. 4x minus 5x. That's going to give us 1, but it's a negative 1 because the 5 is bigger. So let's treat this like negative x equals negative 30. And this may be a new concept for some of you, maybe a new concept for all of you. But if you ever have a negative in front of your variable, you need to get rid of that negative. And the simple method, if you will, is just to take it away and change the sign on the other number. So in other words, I would just say, okay, if I'm given negative x equals negative 30, that really is the same thing as saying x equals 30. And that's true, but what is the math behind that? What did I actually do to get that? Well, here's the math behind that. You essentially are going to be taking that negative x, and let's see, do I have any? Don't really have much more space here. So let's add one little page. All right, we are taking that value and we are dividing it by a negative 1. Okay, because there really is a 1 right there. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 creates 1. There's x. And negative 30 over negative 1 creates now a positive 30. So that's the math behind it. But if you just remember the simple trick, change the variable to a positive. Whatever the other number is, change it to the opposite sign. That's going to work for you. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video.